Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the September 2025 HMIS user meeting. If you haven't already done so, please enter your name and your agency's name in the chat box. On the agenda today, we have the HMIS participating agency schedule, understanding individual and group enrollments, verbal ROI, contact information, minimum participation requirements report, the gender data element, the HMIS Part 2 recertification, the project exit date, the 2025 HIC and Sheltered Pit, the data accuracy dashboard report, the system performance measures and longitudinal systems analysis, project performance report, training and resources, our survey, and then our Q&A and office hours. To better organize our questions for the HMIS help desk that we received during the meeting, our team recommends that you submit your questions through the Q&A option. We request that you keep your questions general and related to the topics we are discussing in the meeting. Agency-specific questions is best supported through an HMIS help desk ticket, so our team can further investigate and provide assistance regarding your request. The HMIS participating agency schedule is sort of our master calendar regarding various reports and requirements that we do throughout the year. So as you can see, it's a bit of an eye chart, but we do have a link that we will be providing in our wrap-up and in our links that we are providing during the meeting. And it sort of goes over, how to required reports, Orange County required reports, Orange County requirements, such as the agency audits and user recertifications, and then our lead meetings. And this refers to our user meeting and our data and performance management meeting. So as part of the HMIS participating agency schedule, we like to highlight a few things that are going on. Currently, right now, we are going through our agency audits, and this runs through December. The HMIS Part 2 recertification was completed on August 31st. And then we have our PPR corrections. So we have the permanent supportive housing and other permanent housing that will be added to your agency's Dropbox shortly. If you do not have a Goal 10 spreadsheet in your Dropbox, your agency did not have exit data during the reporting period of August 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 2025. Amy?
Thank you, Diana. Good morning, everybody. We're going to review understanding individual and group enrollments. Clients who are enrolled in a project alone are enrolled as an individual. If I were to review this client's program history on the right of the screen, under program type, I can see that they are enrolled in the COC funded rapid rehousing project as an individual. Group enrollments. Clients who are enrolled in a project with other members are enrolled as a group. Group enrollments are created at enrollment or under the program tab of any of the household members that are already enrolled in the project. For more information on individual and group enrollments, please review the Understanding Individual Enrollments and Group Enrollments Knowledge Base article. Before adding a client to an existing group enrollment, they must first be added to the global household with other members of the group. As you can see here, I have added Gandalf White to the program head of household, Frodo Baggins global household. Tab, please. To add individual clients to a group enrollment, navigate to the Programs tab and open the desired group enrollment. In this case, it'll be the ESG Funded Street Outreach Project. Tab, please. Find the Group Members section of the screen with the plus button to view or add members from the global household. Tab, please. Select the clients joining the group enrollment. In this case, I have toggled the button for Gandalf White, and then click Enroll to complete the client's enrollment screen. Tab, please. The member will now appear under the Program Group Members section of the Head of Households Program Group Members screen. And the enrollment date will reflect the date the client was added to the group enrollment. So please note that the enrollment date will automatically populate with the date the enrollment screen was completed. So you may need to backdate it to the actual date that the client enrolled in the project and started receiving services. We'll proceed with a demo on adding individuals to group enrollments.
Okay, go ahead, Amy.
Thank you, Diana. Can everybody see my screen? We should be on the OC Clarity training website,
Yep.
viewing our head of household, Frodo Baggins. So as always, we're using our OC Clarity training site and fictitious client information. I'm going to start a process off on my program head of households profile page. So my program head of household for our group enrollment is Frodo Baggins. And as always, my first step is going to check that my client of interest, Gandalf White, has already been added to the global head of household. And I can see that they have. From here, I'm going to navigate to the Programs tab, find my group program of interest, and click the Edit button to open the program. From here, I'll find the Program Group Member section of the screen and click Add. And because Gandalf White has been added to the global head of global household, I'm going to click the toggle the button here for Gandalf White and click Enroll. This will take me to the enrollment screen for Gandalf White, which I will go ahead and complete with some fictitious information. These responses will be different for every client based on their self-reported information. It will take me back to Frodo Baggins' program screen here. And as you can see, under Program Group Members, Gandalf White has been added as a Program Group Member. If I were to navigate over to Gandalf White's profile to their program history, you can see they're now enrolled in that project as a group. And that completes our demo for adding individuals to group enrollments.
Thank you, Amy. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, Amy.
Thank you, Diana. Verbal ROI. Verbal consent is acceptable for a client's release of information record until the first in-person meeting with the client occurs. Verbal consent is not a permanent replacement for a completed consent to share protected personal information form. Agencies can run the Clients with Verbal Consent ROI records report to determine which of their clients are pending an ROI with a wet or electronic signature. This can be done by going to the Launchpad, clicking on Reports, Data Analysis, and Orange County Clarity System Reports. You'll be able to find the Clients with Verbal Consent ROI report from that screen. For further guidance on verbal ROI and instructions on running the Clients with Verbal Consent ROI report, review the Verbal Consent Guidance Knowledge Base article.
Thank you, Amy. Elizabeth?
Good morning, everyone. Contact information. Please ensure that all participants have updated and accurate contact information in HMIS. If the participant does not have contact information to include in HMS, please enter it in the current case manager or alternative contact information. Sharing contact information in HMS helps coordinate services and communication across all HMS participating agency. In addition, it helps streamline the shelter and housing intake process. For more information about managing contact information in HMS, please review the Saving Client Contact Information knowledge base article and review the Update Client Contact Information video. We also wanted to know and encourage case managers that are working with participants that are enrolled in CES. Please also include a case manager contact. So this helps with our CS admin and lead team to coordinate care coordination, as well as other participating agencies that they can reach out to the case managers that's currently working with the participants so that we can encourage care coordination and streamline support to the participant. Next slide, please. Minimum participation requirement report. For our OCHMS policy and procedure, agency must meet minimum participation requirement to remain in HMS. The HMS team will conduct quarterly review to ensure compliance. So the items that are reviewed are the following: ensuring that each agency has at least one active user and that each agency has at least one active agency admin. Agencies have to have at least one active enrollment in their agency and activity, HMS activity, which is related to enrollment, services, assessment, uploading files or exits. And agencies also must attend at least one of the user meeting on a quarterly basis and participate and pass the HMS audit. And during hit and pit season, agencies that have projects that participate in hit and pit is supporting with the reporting and data corrections for hit and pit. Agency will receive a quarterly status update on their agency's standing. So you would receive, agency admins will receive a ticket from our help desk, letting you know if your agency is in compliance. And if you're not in compliance, there will be a list of items that are considered findings, and your agency has 30 days to review and make those corrections. So in preparation, your agencies may review the minimum participation report and review our knowledge base article for more information, just to ensure that your agency is in compliance with the minimum participation and are an active agency in HMS. Agencies that are not in compliance, your status will be shared with our HMS Access Working Group to review to ensure appropriate use and participation in HMS. Next slide, Diana, and if you can just give me a second to set up on my end. Thank you.
Mhm.
Diana, can you verify that you see the training site?
Yes.
Thank you. So we're doing the demo on the training site, but the same pathway is used in the live site so that you can access the report. So from the Launchpad, we'll click Reports and then switch over to Data Analysis. And under the Clarity report, OC Training System report, you're going to navigate to Agency Management and you'll see the minimum participation requirement dashboard, and you can click Run to access that dashboard. To save some time, I've already populated this dashboard. You'll see that there's filters at the top, so you can filter to your agency, and if you're looking for a specific project, you can also just filter to that project or project type. I just wanted to look at our PSH project under the OC Train Agency. So you'll see there's going to be a table of active users and the different access role that they have, just verifying that you have the appropriate access for your users so that they can carry out their job responsibilities. And under active enrollments, it's going to give you a count of active enrollments in your projects. If this number, double checking and verifying all the enrollments data matches up to your agency's operations. If there's any corrections, it is the AA responsibility to support the users to review and make corrections as needed. And workers updated in the previous 30 days. So it's going to look at enrollments, if there was any active activities and services and exits. Again, just verifying that this matches up to your agency's operations. If services is looking low and it looks like we only had one project so that had services. So as an agency admin, I'll be checking in with our team, making sure that there are services entered in for all of our PSH projects that are listed. And files and assessment and exit, just verifying that all this information reflects your agency operations. So these are the items our HMIS team reviews. And if there's any missing items, if there isn't any active enrollments, no activities, these are things that we would note and kind of flag in your status form and giving the agencies an opportunity to review and make corrections as needed.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Let me go
Thank
ahead.
you. And just wanted to know, we are sharing our meeting links in the chat, so please keep an eye out. The document will list all the KBs and resources we have in our training.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we'll be covering the gender data element. HUD has recently released updated data standards, which no longer require the collection of the gender data element. Instead, a new sex data element will be collected, which captures whether a client is male or female. We've sent agencies a survey in August regarding this data element, and this is the information we received. For the survey feedback, we received about 35 responses. Almost 3 out of 4 respondents used the gender for reporting purposes or grant applications. The remainder said that they don't use the gender data element beyond the required data collection. 6 agencies stated they use gender to determine eligibility in at least one project, and 40% of respondents said that they would like to continue collecting gender. The qualitative feedback. Gender is needed to link people with appropriate resources and understanding gaps in service. Disregarding gender is insensitive and may alienate some people, which may result in lack of trust in agencies and working with them. Gender is particularly important to be collected for TAE, as this may be the cause of their homelessness. So the implementation plan is the gender data element will remain in HMIS as an optional data element to allow agencies that want to collect it to continue to do so. Gender will not be included on future reports that are published to the OC HMIS website, like the PIT report and the OC or the COC dashboard. So again, to summarize, the gender data element will still be in HMIS as an optional data element. Rachel?
Good morning, everyone. The HMIS recertification is completed for 2025. Users that did not complete the test by August 31st had their HMIS account set to inactive. If your HMIS account was set to inactive, you have until September 19th to complete the following trainings. All HMIS users, including read-only access, will be required to complete the HMIS Privacy and Security online course. Users with data entry access will also be required to take the 2025 HMIS Part 2 recertification skills test. Users who have read-only accounts are excluded from that requirement. Users that missed the September 19th deadline will need to retake the HMIS Part 1 and Part 2 training courses in addition to the HMIS skills test. This only applies to users that were on the HMIS recertification list for 2025. Next slide, please. Timely and accurate project exit dates are important because they impact the following projects. For all projects, this includes number of active enrollments, length of stay in project, number of successful exits, like count of housed, count of unhoused, count of unduplicated persons served, count of positive housing destinations. For CES projects, this is number of folks still on the community or bed reservation queue, and how long a participant waits for a unit or bed. The potential exits report, Exit 101, can be used to check current list of enrollments without services and case notes for potential exits. This is recommended to run at least monthly, if shelter housing provider, and weekly or daily if agency has capacity for open opportunities. Next slide, please. On this slide, we'll review the project exit guidelines per project type. For street outreach, clients enrolled in street outreach projects should be exited in the following manner. If the client is referred to an emergency shelter or transitional housing project, the client should be exited on the date that they enrolled into the ES or TH project. If the client was referred to a rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, or other permanent supportive housing project, the client should be exited from the SO project with an exit date of the client's housing move-in date in that project that they were referred to. If staff have not made any contact with the client within 60 days, the exit date is the last date of contact. For site-based residential projects, which include emergency shelter and transitional housing projects, the exit date represents the last day of continuous stay in the project before the client transferred to another residential project or otherwise stops residing in the project. For example, if a person checked into an overnight shelter on January 30th, 2025, stayed overnight, and left in the morning, the exit date for that shelter stay would be January 31st, 2025. Next slide, please. For tenant-based permanent housing projects, such as permanent housing, which includes rapid rehousing, the exit date represents the last day that the client receives rental assistance or supportive services for rapid, or is provided rental assistance for tenant-based PSH, transition in place, or other permanent housing. For non-residential projects like services only with homelessness prevention, the last day that the exit would be the last day of service was provided, or the last date of a period of ongoing service. Please note that agencies that offer ongoing services after exits, for example, street outreach projects, must set up a services-only project to track the ongoing services there. Once the client enrolls into the ESTH or rapid rehousing PSH OPH, the client is no longer on the street. and must be exited from street outreach.
Thank you, Rachel. Hugo?
Diana, before we move forward, there are some questions in the chat.
Okay.
So we had a question. We continue to follow clients that keep them enrolled while they are in shelter. We still need to exit them from our program. Just wanted to clarify, Amanda, if you can give more context which program you have a client enrolled in, we can provide more guidance. But to go off of your question, if the client is in an emergency shelter and they exit to a PH project, they should be exit the last day that they're in your program. This is to avoid any errors with overlap. Having an ongoing enrollment in emergency shelter and PH in this case is reflecting that the client is occupying two beds at the same time in the two projects. It is encouraged for agencies that do provide ongoing services outside of their, for example, street outreach services or emergency shelter when those program participation end is adding a services only project so that your agency can continue to track ongoing services. There may be a period of transition and a warm handoff, supporting the participant in transitioning to their new housing situation and new service provider. And I hope I answer your question, but if you have any more context, feel free to unmute and add more context. Thank you. And we have another question. So there's a question, if there's no contact and street outreach project with a participant, after how many days should an exit be completed? 30 or 60. And thank you, Amy, for adding the street outreach exiting protocol KB. There's additional context in that KB. So we encourage agencies who are operating street outreach to make attempts to contact the client, and it is recommended after 60 days. So within this time, making multiple attempts trying to contact the client to re-engage to offer services.
Okay, is that it for questions, Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you, Diana. I don't see any more questions. We can move forward for now.
Okay, thank you. Hugo?
Good morning, everyone. Today I'll begin by going over the Data Accuracy Dashboard overview. The Data Accuracy Dashboard is a report made available for HMIS users to provide a broad overview of the accuracy of their agency's HMIS data. This dashboard can be filtered by reporting period, project type, and project name. Agency administrators should review the Data Accuracy Dashboard once per month for all projects at their agency to assess the accuracy of their HMIS data. The dashboard information should be shared with relevant staff members for further review and verification of client information entered into HMIS. Any dashboard information that does not reflect real client information should be corrected by the relevant staff member. HMIS users can locate the Data Accuracy Dashboard in Clarity HMIS by navigating to Reports, Data Analysis, Orange County Clarity System Reports, Data Quality, and Data Accuracy Dashboard.
Okay, let me go ahead and stop sharing so you can do the demo. Okay, Hugo, you're ready to go.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Give me one quick moment to get everything set up. Diana, just to confirm, can you see my screen right now? I should be on the training site.
Yes.
Okay, great. So first off, to navigate to the report, you will head over to the Launchpad icon in the upper right-hand corner, which is these 3 9 dots. Once you click on that, you will go over to the reports icon. From here, you will shift over to the Data Analysis tab, and then go to Orange County System Reports, and then click on the little caret icon to expand this section. From here, you will navigate down till you see Data Quality, and then Data Accuracy Dashboard. From here, you can click on the Run button to run the report, but for ease of use, I've already pre-ran this report. This report has 3 filters, including the reporting period, project type code, and agency name. This report also contains 3 specific tiles that refer to data accuracy issues, such as date of birth occurring after project start date, disabled clients without a disability type, and clients without a disability that reported a disability type. Since this is an embedded report, it is interactive. So if you click on a specific tile, you can obtain more granular information about that. For example, if we were to click on disabled clients without a disability type, it'll expand this open pop-up where you can see a list of clients within that specific project that have reported disability yet do not have a disability type. To gain more information about this, you can click on the enrollment ID, specifically these 3 buttons, which will open up 2 links, either to the client's Clarity profile or to the program enrollment. Since we want to address these issues, we will use the first link, which is to the program enrollment. And if you click on that, it'll open up the client's program enrollment. It'll take you to the history tab. However, what we want to do is navigate over to the enrollment tab. From the enrollment tab, we can scroll down until we get to the disabling conditions and barriers section within the enrollment screen. As you can see, this client has a disabling condition listed as yes. However, none of the available disabling conditions or disabilities are selected as yes. In fact, this little warning pop-up appears whenever this occurs, letting you know that the disabling condition is set to yes, but no disability type has been selected. Of course, once this issue is encountered, you will contact the staff member who enrolled the client into this program and have them update this information as needed to more accurately reflect the client's current situation. For example, if we set the disabling condition to yes, we can go ahead and choose the correct disabling condition. And as you can see, the warning pop-up has subsided. You can go ahead and save and close this information, and that will remove the client from that specific data quality issue report. I believe that's all for me, Diana, so I'll go ahead and pass it off back to you.
Thank you, Hugo. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Andrew?
Hey everyone. I'm kind of having internet issues, so apologize in advance if I disconnect. But in these next few slides, I wanted to go over the 2025 housing inventory counts and sheltered point in time counts. And as a refresher, the HIC and sheltered pits is a count that we do on an annual basis. So the housing inventory counts, or HIC, is a point in time inventory of housing programs within our COC that provide beds and units for people experiencing homelessness. And this includes emergency shelters, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, and other permanent housing projects. And it includes both projects participating in HMIS and not participating in HMIS. Similarly, we also conduct a sheltered point in time count every year. So this year it was January 27th, 2025. And this was a count of people experiencing sheltered homelessness or enrolled in emergency shelters, safe havens, and transitional housing projects in our COC. We can go to the next slide. So in this slide, I wanted to give sort of an overview of the data that we saw in this year's housing inventory count, or HIC. We saw 10,232 beds in this year's HIC. This is a 420 or 4% increase compared to the previous year. And in this little table, I kind of broke it down by project types to illustrate the increases amongst the different project types. So we saw an increase in emergency shelter, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, and other permanent housing beds. But we saw a pretty significant decrease in rapid rehousing programs. And as you can see, the chart also breaks down by project type and also includes previous years as well. So you can see the trends of most of the project types are increasing steadily, but rapid rehousing programs are winding down. And so we're seeing a decrease in the bed availability. And then in this slide, I wanted to provide a further breakdown of project type and household type for our housing inventory count. So we can see that most of our beds are dedicated to different household types. And so emergency shelter, a majority of the beds are for adult-only households. We see kind of an even spread for permanent supportive housing and other permanent housing. And then we also see in our transitional housing and rapid rehousing, most of those projects are actually consisting of beds mostly dedicated for families or children and adult households. Similarly, the chart below has bed utilization data for all the beds that were included on this year's HIC. And we saw roughly about a 90% bed utilization, but this chart also breaks it down by project type. So roughly 88% of ES beds were utilized, 77% transitional housing, and a little over 90% of our permanent housing programs had bed utilization. Now, one thing I also want to highlight is the rapid rehousing. This is a project type that is always going to show up as 100% bed utilization because of the way HUD calculates utilization. But that's basically how the breakdown is for different project types. And then you can go to the next slide too. Okay. So taking it to the 2025 sheltered point in time count, or PIT, this year we had a PITS count, or a sheltered PIT count of 3,537. This was a increase of 388 from last year, or 12.3%. And we saw a majority of that increase in adult-only households. So you can see on the chart on the left is kind of showing the different household types that we're looking at for the sheltered point in time. And then we have some key population changes in this chart on the right. So we saw an increase in chronically homelessness. We saw an increase in seniors and youth, and then we saw a pretty significant decrease in veterans and domestic violence survivors. And then this is the last slide I have for the shelter point in time count. But this was a racial and ethnic background breakdown. And one thing I wanted to highlight was the difference or the disparity in representation in homelessness of some racial and ethnic groups. And as we see in the shelter point in time count, people who identify as American Indian or Alaskan Native, Black African American, Hispanic, Latino, Middle Eastern or North African or Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander are all experiencing homelessness at higher rates than their proportion of the Orange County population, while those who identify as Asian or Asian American are experiencing homelessness at lower rates relative to the Orange County population. And those are all the slides that I had for the HIC and sheltered pit. But if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat or let us know, and we'd be happy to answer those. And we also have some additional data that I will be linking in the chat shortly so that you can kind of take a deeper dive into this year's HIC and sheltered pit. But one thing I just wanted to end on is that the HIC and sheltered pit is more than just numbers. It gives us a clear picture of the resources available in our community and the people we're serving. So if you were involved in this year's Hick and Pelter Pit, especially the AAs that we reached to this year, just want to give you a thank you because when we do these reports and other federal reports, we're not just completing federal requirements, but we're also equipping our COC with the information we need to advocate for funding, identify gaps, and ultimately move us closer to our shared goal of ending homelessness. So that's all I had for the Hick and Shelter Pit.
You, Andrew. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Diana. So, for this upcoming fall season, we're going to be rolling out some data quality reports to prepare for the system performance measure and longitudinal system analysis. These are two annual federal report that is submitted to HUD to provide insight into our COC system of care. Data represent our COC performance and clients' pathways and participation in our system. So the reporting period is October 1st, 2024, and the end date is September 30th, 2025. So we want to encourage each agency to prepare for corrections, and to do that is running some of the data quality reports and reviewing and making sure that your data reflects your project operations. Our HMS team will also send out these reports along with the quarterly data quality report card corrections, but want to encourage agencies to also review and run these reports on an ongoing basis so that you can make corrections throughout the year. And when you get data quality report cards and reports, that these corrections are already reflective and you have less errors to review. As Hugo reviewed the data accuracy dashboard, we do encourage running that and identifying potential errors that could be corrected. Agency setup review, just making sure that your agencies have all the projects set up that you're operating, or any projects that need to be closed out, just making sure all those are set up and closed out as needed. And for LSA, we do have some LSA cleanup dashboards, the head of household errors and overlapping enrollments that we encourage agencies to run and see what errors that are being flagged for their projects, and reviewing and making those corrections. And we have more information in the upcoming slide, but we're going to have HMS report office hours where we'll go more in depth with these reports and have guidance about how to identify and make those corrections to the errors. So we encourage agency admins to join us if you're available later in the month to review these reports and guidance on how to make corrections to support with our SMP and LSA reporting this year. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hugo?
Project performance reports. The Homeless Prevention Project Performance Report will be published in the upcoming weeks. Current and past project performance reports can be found on the Orange County HMS website by navigating to Reports and then Project Performance Reports. Corrections for the Permanent Supportive Housing Project Performance Reports draft data will be uploaded into Dropbox this week. The Project Performance Overview is a helpful document that provides important information regarding the project performance reports, including the thresholds for each goal, as well as our publishing schedule. Training and resources, upcoming trainings. The HMS Client Privacy and Data Ethics training has been moved and is now set to go live tomorrow, Thursday, September 4th at 1 p.m. There is no need to register in advance for this meeting. In addition, the HMS Reports office hours will be held on Wednesday, September 24th at 10 a.m. And once more, there's no need to register in advance for this meeting. More information about upcoming trainings can be found on the OC HMS calendar. Community resources. Helpful coordinated entry resources may be found on the Office of Care Coordination's OCCES Academy website.
Thank you, Hugo. So we come to our HMIS meeting survey. Our HMIS team invites users to complete the HMIS user meeting survey. Please let us know what topics you're interested in reviewing for upcoming monthly meetings. It's great to have community engagement. And so if there's any topics that you would like us to cover or reports that you would like us to highlight, please fill out our survey. We do review that information and incorporate those topics into our meetings. And this brings us to our Q&A session. If you haven't already done so, please enter your name and your agency's name in the chat box for attendance. If you have any questions regarding any of the topics that we covered, please go ahead and add your question to the Q&A or unmute yourself. And all meeting materials and recordings will be available on the OCHMIS website, and we will be sending a wrap-up newsletter with that information to be linked. Again, everyone, thank you for joining us today. Our next user meeting is October 1st. And if you have additional questions about HMIS functionality, please hang on and we will do office hours.